You stand this night in the presence of a mystery the world has long ignored. Men speak with tongues, yet the greater speech is wordless. Thought clothed in feeling becomes the secret language that travels without sound, carrying itself into the hearts of others. Call it telepathy, call it silent communion. The name matters not. What matters is this: what you think of another, he feels. What you assume of yourself, the world answers. This forgotten teaching will open to you a door where distance vanishes and the unseen becomes the most certain power you possess. What if every thought you held was already shaping someone else's mind? What if distance was an illusion and your imagination the bridge? Tonight you will discover that telepathy is not fantasy, it is law. You may believe that words must be spoken to carry their force, but I tell you the truest words are silent, and they travel faster than any voice. You sit in your chair and you think of a friend across the city. Why? You feel their presence. You dress them in your thought, and at that very moment, without one sound escaping your lips, the thought moves. It is clothed in the current of feeling, and it seeks its destination as surely as light pierces the darkness. This silent current of thought is the secret river on which the world is moved, yet men pass by without knowing its power. Every man and woman you have ever met, every face that crosses your path, has felt something of your unspoken speech. You believe you have kept it hidden, that you have not spoken your opinion, but you cannot conceal thought charged with emotion. It will go forth and it will find its mark. If you sit tonight and imagine with intensity, if you charge your inner speech with feeling, it becomes more than a fantasy of the mind. It becomes a messenger, a current carrying your intention into the very atmosphere of the one you think upon. I say to you, nothing is lost. No image once felt with conviction, no thought once marred. ID to emotion remains idle. It must fulfill its journey. You may not trace the line, you may not see the invisible thread that ties one mind to another, but it exists, and you are forever weaving it. When a man suddenly thinks of you and calls, when a friend you had not seen in years writes a letter, when a stranger greets you with the same words you uttered in the silence of your room, was it coincidence, or was it the silent current of thought moving through the unseen channels of mind? The world believes in telephones and wireless communication, yet mocks the idea that thought itself travels. And yet, is it not more natural that the power which gave birth to every invention should itself be the greater transmitter? Before the radio, before the wire, men dreamed of connecting across oceans. That dream, held long enough, clothed in faith, became fact. So too, this power of silent communication waits only for you to recognize it. You are sending continually, but untrained, undirect. Dead, you scatter your seeds in the wind. Imagine now that you are deliberate. Imagine that you cease idle complaint and begin to hold in mind the image you wish to see in another. Do you want reconciliation? Then hold your friend lovingly. See him smiling. Hear him speaking kindly, and let your thought be charged with the feeling of harmony. That picture will not die. Move through the silent current and strike his mind as though it were his own impulse. Do you want success in business? Then imagine your partner reliable, your customer satisfied, your work appreciated. Feel it now as though it were fact, and know that your unseen current has already gone before you to prepare the way. I stood once before a man who had spoken harshly to me. Outwardly I said nothing. Inwardly I clothed him with dignity. I saw him speaking words of kindness. I felt the warmth of his hand. And though he left my presence unchanged, days later he returned with the very words I had heard in the sill. Hence, I needed no witness, for I knew that what I created within had gone forth to accomplish its purpose. Every quarrel you ever sustained could be dissolved if you but mastered this inner language. For it is not the noise of the tongue that binds men. It is the vibration of thought wrapped in feeling. When you curse inwardly, when you condemn silently, you may believe you have harmed no one, but the current is alive. It goes forth, and in time it returns. When you bless inwardly, when you imagine good and only good, you set in motion a tide that will sweep through another's mind and return multiplied to your own. This is the hidden commerce of the world. Men think money alone governs exchange, but I tell you, the greater commerce is thought. You are buying and selling images all day long, impressing others with your unseen attitudes, receiving impressions from those around you. Most live unconsciously, and so they are tossed by the currents of others' minds. But he who becomes he who governs the pictures he sends, becomes the master of his relations. Do not wonder how the distance is bridged. The very space you see is an illusion of the senses. Thought is not bound by the miles that divide bodies. You can sit here and project yourself into another's presence more surely than any messenger can walk the road. And when you meet that one again, you will discover he has already received you. For the meeting has taken place in the silence before it occurs in the world. Tonight I ask you to test this. Think of one you love. See them as they would be were your desire for them fulfilled. Hold them steady in that vision. Feel the truth of your picture. Then release it, confident that the silent current has carried it to its destination. Tomorrow, or in days to come, you will see the reflection of that unseen act, and when you do, you will know beyond all doubt that the silent current of thought is more real than the spoken word. And now you may wonder, what is the force that sends these images? What is the hand that lifts the current and carries it into another? It is none other than your own imagination. Do not think of imagination as the idle faculty of children or poets, some fancy to be indulged and then dismissed. Imagination is the great sender, the eternal projector, the power that clothes itself in form and hurls that form into the mind of another. You imagine, and the world responds. You imagine, and men and women act as though compelled to play the roles you have assigned them in the theater of your mind. When you close your eyes and see your brother clothed in dignity, you are not indulging a daydream. You are sending him that very garment, and if he receives it, he must in time put it on. When you imagine your business thriving, you are not playing with idle fancies. You are breathing into the atmosphere the picture that will shape itself into clients, opportunities, and open doors. Imagination is the sender, and it never see. Lie the best to fill your silent speech with blessings, to see others as you would have them be, and to see yourself already in possession of your desire. Do not limit imagination to the mere rehearsal of facts. Imagination is not memory. Memory drags the past into the present, but imagination creates that which is not yet seen. When you sit alone, envision yourself in health, though the body aches. You are not lying to yourself. You are sending into the invisible the pattern of health. When you picture yourself in joy, though the world appears bleak, you are not escaping reality. You are creating a higher reality that must descend into the scene. Imagination sends, and the world is but its echo. You have done it unknowingly all your life. Have you not thought ill of another and found him suddenly turning cold toward you? Have you not secretly condemned and then found yourself condemned? And have you not also imagined reconciliation and discovered that the quarrel dissolved without one word spoken? What you have done unconsciously, you may now do deliberately. You may sit tonight and send forth only that which you wish to reap, for imagination is the sower, and all men reap what imagination has planted. There is no distance to imagination. You may sit in this room and imagine yourself across the ocean. You may hold a friend in thought who sleeps 1,000 miles away, and your image will reach him as swiftly as your own heartbeat reaches your veins. For the truth is that all are one in consciousness, and imagination bridges the seeming gap. You have only to dare to assume that what you create within is more real than what the senses show without, and the proof will come in its own appointed hour. So I ask you to watch your imaginal acts as you would guard your treasures. Do not allow them to run wild, sending currents of fear, of envy, of resentment. For those images too go forth and clothe themselves in circumstance. Govern your inner life as a king governs his kingdom, and let only noble messengers go forth. Train your imagination to send forth beauty, truth, harmony, and love, and watch as these return to you in multiplied form. You are never helpless, never powerless, never at the mercy of chance. The world may deny you, men may oppose you, circumstances may seem against you, yet in the silence of imagination you hold the greater power. Close your eyes, see the end you desire, feel it real and release it. Know that you have sent it on its way and it cannot fail to return. For imagination is the sender, and life itself is but the faithful receiver of what imagination has already decreed. And when the image is sent, when the current of imagination moves forth clothed in feeling, it does not wander aimlessly in the void. It seeks a receiver, and the receiver is none other than the mind of another. Every man is both sender and receiver in this great communion, and none can escape the impressions that flow invisibly between us. You may not hear them as words, you may not see them as pictures, but you respond nonetheless. Thoughts impregnated with emotion settle upon the consciousness of others, and they in turn act, think, or feel in harmony with the unseen suggestion. You have felt it yourself. Have you not suddenly thought of someone, and moments later they appeared or sent word to you? Have you not walked into a room and sensed an atmosphere before one word was spoken? That was not chance, nor was it imagination in the shallow sense of fancy. It was the receiving of impressions sent forth by others, clothed in the silent current of thought. For just as surely as you send, so do you receive. And if you remain unaware, you take the thoughts of others as your own, never knowing you have been influenced by an invisible conversation. Consider the times you have been restless without cause, uneasy in your spirit, though all seemed well. Later you discovered that one dear to you was in distress, and you knew in that instant why you had felt the tremor. The bond between you was invisible, yet real. Their thought had gone forth, and you received it without the need of speech or letter. This is the secret commerce of minds, the unspoken dialogue that connects all men across the seeming barriers of time and space. Now, if this is so, and I say it is, you are not merely the victim of such impressions, you are the master. For as you govern what you send, you also govern what you are willing to receive. When you are steadfast in your assumption, when you are clothed in the conviction of your desired state, then only thoughts harmonious with that state can find entrance. The man who assumes wealth and feels its reality cannot long be influenced by thoughts of lack. The one who imagines health and sustains it in feeling cannot be easily impressed by fear or weakness. What you are inwardly is the filter of what you will outwardly receive. There is a discipline required, a holy vigilance over the door of key mind. For though you send forth daily, you also open yourself to currents not your own. If you remain passive, you are but the echo of the louder voices around you. If you become aware, if you stand guard at the inner gate, you can choose only those impressions which align with your purpose and let all others pass away. This is not resistance, it is selection. You need not fight the thoughts of others, you need only dwell so deeply in your chosen state that foreign voices find no lodging in you. The world is a mirror, yes, but it is also a receiver. What you believe about another he feels, and what he believes of you, you in some measure register. Two people locked in silent opposition are like two towers sending conflicting signals. The atmosphere between them is charged with discord. Yet let one change his sending, let him imagine reconciliation, and suddenly the atmosphere clears. The other, though unconscious of the cause, feels moved to soften, to speak kindly, to return. The silent transmission has been received, and the proof is in the altered relation. In the great play of life, then, you are not only casting roles, but also responding to the roles imagined of you. How important it becomes, therefore, to know what you will allow yourself to accept. Refuse the mantle of limitation others would place upon you. Do not take as your own the image another has clothed you in if it contradicts your desire. Rather, stand firm in the picture you have chosen, and let that be the only impression you receive. for no thought, however strong, can penetrate a mind fully occupied with its own conviction. Test this with those near to you. Imagine them thinking kindly of you. Imagine them desiring your success. Imagine them rejoicing in your good fortune. Hold that image until it possesses the tone of reality. Soon you will notice their words and actions conforming, though they know not why they are moved. You will have sent, they will have received, and the world will be ear witness to a communion that took place in silence. So I say to you, be deliberate both in sending and in receiving. Let your imagination project only that which you wish fulfilled, and let your mind accept only that which confirms your chosen state. Then you will move through the world as one who commands the invisible currents, shaping relationships, circumstances, and events in harmony with your inner vision. For just as no spoken word is without effect, no unspoken thought charged with feeling is without its receiver. Yet all this would remain a mere curiosity, a passing wonder, if one vital element were missing. For the current may be sent and the receiver may be ready, but if you yourself vacillate between belief and doubt, between assumption and denial, then the signal loses its power. It is faith that clothes the image with substance, and it is doubt that strips it bare. A man may sit and imagine 100 noble scenes, but if he rises from his chair still convinced that nothing has changed, then he has undone the very act of sending. Assumption is not a fragile thought that needs to be propped up. Assumption is the solid rock upon which the invisible stands. When you assume with feeling, when you rest in the conviction that your imaginal act is fact, then all the unseen forces conspire to make it so. But when you allow doubt to creep in, when you question whether it was real, when you wonder if perhaps it was only fantasy, then you send forth two opposing signals and the atmosphere is confused. One moment the world is set in motion to answer your desire, the next it is pulled back by your disbelief. And so you wait, never seeing the fruit, and you say, the law does not work. Do you not see that faith and doubt are not companions but opposites? To the degree that you assume, to that degree doubt cannot live. And to the degree you doubt, to that degree assumption has no root. You cannot serve both masters. You must choose this day which voice you will. Trust the quiet certainty of your inner vision or the clamor of the outer senses. For the senses will always show you what was, never what shall be. They reflect the harvest of yesterday's imaginal acts, not the seed planted this hour. The man who insists upon seeing before he believes is the man who forever reaps the stale fruit of the past. But the one who believes before he sees, who assumes in spite of appearances, who dares to feel the unseen as though it were already solid, he is the one who walks ahead of the world, and the world runs to catch up with him. Assumption precedes manifestation as surely as the seed precedes the tree, and the strength of the seed is not measured by its size, but by the conviction with which it is planted. Have you not known moments where you assumed without effort, you believed so thoroughly in the outcome that you never questioned it, and in time the event unfolded just as you had imagined? You did not struggle to sustain it, you rested in certainty. That is the secret, a naturalness, a quiet ease in the assumption, as though it could not be otherwise. When you live from that state, you do not check the soil to see if the seed has sprouted. You know it has, and you go your way rejoicing. Doubt, however, is the thief. It enters in subtle ways. It whispers, perhaps it was only my imagination. Perhaps nothing will happen. Perhaps it is too difficult, too late, too much. And the moment you entertain that whisper, you recall the old state, you resurrect the old man, and your faith is broken. Do not entertain it. Do not argue with it. Simply return to the assumption, return to the feeling of the wish fulfilled, and let that be the only reality you acknowledge. For you cannot banish doubt by wrestling with it. You banish it by dwelling so fully in faith that doubt finds no place to lodge. This is why I urge you to discipline the mind, to practice the art of assumption daily, until it becomes second nature. Just as Once believed without question in limitation, so now you may believe without question in abundance. Just as you once accepted sickness as fact, so now you may accept health as inevitable. Whatever state you dwell upon faithfully becomes natural, and what is natural soon appears as fact. The law knows no partiality. It gives to each according to his belief. So when you send forth your imaginal act, let it not be a feeble wish tossed upon the wind. Let it be clothed in the certainty of assumption, the unwavering faith that what you have seen within is more real than what you now behold without. And when appearances tempt you to doubt, remind yourself that appearances are but shadows of the past, and that the seed you planted this hour is already germinating in the unseen. Stand firm in your faith, and let no man, no circumstance, no delay persuade you otherwise. For just as the receiver feels your silent current, so too does the universe itself respond to the conviction behind your A.
CT, faith is the magnet, doubt the disperser.
Choose faith, choose assumption, and you will see that the invisible bow to your command and the visible bend to reflect your inner certainty. And from this ground of unwavering assumption, there unfolds a practice so simple, so quiet, that the world dismisses it. Yet it is the very key by which relationships and circumstances are shaped. I speak of the inner dialogue, the conversations you hold in the silence of your own mind. For though no one hears them, though no lips move, these dialogues are the blueprint of tomorrow's encounters. Every word spoken inwardly is a seed cast into the soil of consciousness, and in due season it rises to clothe itself in flesh and circumstance. You speak inwardly far more than you ever speak aloud. You rehearse old quarrels, you answer the accusations of others, you replay the failures of yesterday. And you do it so habitually that you never stop to consider the harvest such conversations must bear. Foe, the law cannot distinguish between speech uttered aloud and speech whispered inwardly. What you accept as true within, what you repeat again and again in the secrecy of thought, that the world will echo in the voices of men and women who meet you. Have you not quarreled silently with another and then found them irritable, harsh, unkind when next you met? You thought it was their nature, yet it was only the outpicturing of the words you had already spoken in imagination. And have you not also spoken kindly within, forgiven silently, blessed it quietly, and then discovered the atmosphere transformed, the hostility dissolved, the one who seemed against you now suddenly for you? This is no accident. This is the law in action, and the law is precise. If you wish to know what you truly believe of another, listen to the tone of your inward conversations. Do you picture him faithful, loving, generous, or do you rehearse his faults, magnify his errors, bind him in chains of your judgment? Whatever you imagine him to be, he feels, and in time he will play that part in your world. Therefore, to change your relationship, change your inner conversation. Do not wait for him to alter his conduct. See him already changed. Hear him speaking the words you long to hear, and inwardly respond with joy as though it were already true. When you wake in the morning, before one act of the day, hold a conversation in imagination with those who matter to you. Hear them congratulating you on your success. Hear them rejoicing in your health. Hear them sharing in your joy. Let that be the conversation that sets the tone of your day. And when you lay your head at night, let the last words you speak be not the idle chatter of fear and regret, but the chosen speech of fulfillment. Speak inwardly of what you desire as though it were already fact, and drift into sleep in the company of these words. Then the night itself becomes your ally, and the subconscious receives the impression as law. You need not tell another what you are doing. In fact, it is better that you keep the secret, for the world may mock the idea that silent conversations hold power. Yet those who have tested it know that nothing is more certain. A mother speaks inwardly to her child, seeing him noble, wise, strong, and the child grows into that image. A husband envisions his wife radiant and kind, and soon the very atmosphere of their home reflects it. A man sees his employer appreciating his work, and suddenly opportunity opens before him. All this because the inner voice, faithfully spoken, has gone forth to weave the pattern of the outer life. As though you were forcing words into the silence, but persist, and soon it will flow as naturally as once flowed your complaints. Remember always that what you whisper in the inner chambers is shouted in the outer world. Life echoes your inward tones with unerring precision. If you would live in harmony, speak harmony within. If you would dwell in abundance, rehearse abundance within. If you would be loved, speak love within. Then the voices you hear in the marketplace, in the office, in the home, will be none other than the outpicturing of your own inner speech. This is the law of mental conversation. It is the unseen dialogue that fashions the visible world. For just as a playwright drafts the lines his actors will speak, so you, in the silence of imagination, draft the lines your world will utter. You need not wait for them to compose their part. They are only playing back to you the script you have already written upon the invisible stage. And though these inner conversations hold the power to shape men and events, there is a principle deeper still, a law that governs what is heard and what is ignored. For not every idle word strikes with force, not every fleeting thought impresses itself upon another. It is only when thought is married to feeling that it carries weight. It is the union of image and emotion that gives the signal life, that breathes it into being and makes it irresistible. Without feeling, thought drifts as vapor. With feeling, it becomes substance, clothed and armed to accomplish its mission. Have you not spoken words aloud with no conviction, and watched them fall lifeless, unheeded by those around you? And have you not whispered a word with passion, with belief, with certainty, and seen it change the very atmosphere? The difference was not the word, but the spirit in which it was uttered. The same law holds true in silence. You may imagine endlessly, but if you do not feel it real, if the picture does not stir you to the very core, then is but a shadow. Yet the moment you feel the thrill of its reality, the moment your heart leaps as though it were already true, then the image lives, and the world must in time bear witness to it. This is why so many fail in their practice. They imagine faintly, as one might glance at a passing picture, and then wonder why nothing comes of it. But the law does not respond to faint wishes. It answers only to living conviction. When you fuse thought with feeling, when you let the idea soak into the marrow of your being, then you have created a command, and that command will not return void. Feeling is the one sure garment by which imagination is clothed, and without it, imagination wanders naked, unseen, and unfelt. Consider the man who rehearses wealth in his mind but feels still the sting of poverty. His words are empty, his pictures are pale, for the feeling of lack contradicts the image he holds. The law receives not his imagined riches, but his lived emotion of want, and so on. T continues. Yet let that same man clothe his picture with the joy of possession. Let him feel the weight of the coin, the ease of abundance, the satisfaction of plenty, and suddenly the image has substance. The signal sent is no longer hollow, it is alive with power, and life rushes to embody it. So it is with health. One may affirm strength while inwardly trembling with fear, and the trembling will speak louder than the words. But let him imagine strength with such feeling that he forgets the weakness. Let him walk in imagination as though every step were firm. Let him breathe as though every breath were vigor. And the body will in time conform to the emotion that clothed the image. For feeling is the secret of harmony, and harmony is the law by which the invisible becomes visible. Do not mistake me. Feeling does not mean strain, nor does it mean forcing emotion where none exists. It is not effort, but naturalness. When you assume a state so fully that it feels like home, when you rest in the picture as though it could not be otherwise, then you have clothed it in the perfect garment. That quiet ease, that sense of certainty, is the true feeling of the wish fulfilled. It is not shouting nor pleading, but the calm joy of one who knows the harvest is sure. In your inner conversations, then, do not merely recite words. Feel the tones. If you imagine a friend congratulating you, do not hear only the syllables. Feel the warmth of his voice, the clasp of his hand, the smile upon his face. Let the emotion of fulfillment rise until it fills you more than the memory of the past. And when that feeling saturates the image, you have set the law in motion. The world outside may deny it for a season, but it cannot resist forever. For the invisible clothed in feeling is stronger than the visible clothed in doubt. And when you bless another, do not do so mechanically. Feel the blessing. See him radiant, prosperous, joyful, and let your heart move with compassion and delight. Then the blessing is not empty courtesy, but a living current that he must receive. And when you condemn, know that too is clothed with feeling, and the one you condemn will feel it, though he knows not the source. Choose wisely, therefore, the garments you give your images, for every thought, once clothed in emotion, becomes a messenger returning to you in form. This law of harmony cannot be broken. It ensures that only thoughts fused with feeling have the power to travel, to impress, to create. It is the sieve through which idle fancies fall away and living convictions pass. Govern your feelings then, as you govern your thoughts, and let them dwell only upon that which you desire to see made flesh. For the union of imagination and feeling is the marriage that gives birth to the world you walk in. And when you understand this, you see why I insist that proof does not come through argument, nor through philosophy alone, but through experience. For what use is it to hear that thought, clothed in feeling travels, that inner conversations are echoed, that assumption shapes reality, unless you yourself test it and know it true? The law invites demonstration. It asks you not to believe blindly, but to act, to imagine, to feel, and then to witness the harvest that springs forth. For only then will it cease to be theory and become living knowledge. I tell you of things I have proven, and you must prove them too. Take the smallest desire, the simplest wish, and enact it within. Imagine the scene that would follow its fulfillment. Hear the words you would hear. See the faces you would see. Feel the joy that would be yours if it were already accomplished. Then, having felt it real, release it, knowing the seed is planted. Go about your day without anxiety, without checking the soil to see if it grows. Wait with quiet confidence, and soon the proof will appear. Perhaps it comes in a letter, perhaps in a call, perhaps in a chance encounter, but come it must, for the law cannot fail. And when it does, do not dismiss it as chance. Mark it well. Write it upon the tablets of memory, for each proof is a stone laid in the foundation of your faith. And the more you prove it in small things, the greater your confidence to attempt it in larger. Soon you will no longer doubt whether thought travels, whether inner speech shapes, whether assumption creates. You will know it because you have seen it in the theater of your own life. Think back upon your yesterdays. How often have you said, I knew this would happen, and why did you know? Because you had already lived it in imagination, though perhaps unconsciously. You rehearsed the quarrel before it came, and then it came. You pictured the failure, felt the sting of it before the event, and then you lived it. Or you dreamed of reconciliation, of success, of joy, and though you dismissed it as fancy, it came to pass. These were proofs, though you did not yet recognize them as such. Now, knowing the law, you may turn these unconscious prophecies into deliberate creations. But do not stop with your own life alone. Test it in the lives of those you love. Imagine for them as you would imagine for yourself. Hold them in your thought as happy, healed, secure. Feel the joy of their fulfillment as though it were your own. Then wait, and you will hear them speak the very words you heard in imagination. See them embody the very picture you painted. When you do, you will know that the bond between souls is real. That telepathy is no trick of mind, but the very fabric of existence. For telepathy is not some rare gift bestowed upon the few. It is the natural commerce of all minds. Every thought you send is felt. Every feeling you clothe is received. Every assumption you persist in echoes through the world around you. The proof is everywhere for him who has eyes to see. But the blind call it accident, coincidence, chance. Yet to the awakened it is law, steady, unchanging, precise, and once known it can never again be doubted, for the evidence will surround you daily. Do not despise the day of small beginnings. Do not wait for thunderous proofs. Begin with the little things. Imagine a friend calling and let him call. Imagine a letter and let it come. Imagine a smile where once there was frown, and watch the countenance change. Each proof strengthens the inner certainty until you no longer question whether imagination sends, whether others receive, whether assumption shapes. You will know it as you know the rising of the sun, for you will have lived it again and again. And when at last you see the pattern of it, when you recognize that nothing comes to you uninvited, that all you encounter bears the mark of imaginal acts, then you will stand in awe of the hidden power within you. You will no longer dismiss thought as idle or words as empty. You will know that every feeling entertained, every scene rehearsed, every conversation held in silence is a cause, and that the world outs. ID is but its effect. Proof will be your teacher. Experience your guide, and no man will persuade you otherwise, for you will have seen with your own eyes the outpicturing of the unseen. So I urge you, prove it tonight. Take but one desire, live it within, feel it real, and release it. Then wait with the certainty that it must be received, that it must clothe itself in circumstance, and when it comes, as surely it will, rejoice not only in the gift, but in the knowledge that you have touched the great law, and that it has answered faithfully. For from that moment forward, you will walk no longer as one groping in the dark, but as one who knows the hidden power that governs all things. You have now heard a forgotten truth. Every thought clothed in feeling travels, every assumption echoes, and every silent conversation shapes the reality you live. Telepathy is not fantasy, it is the law of mind in action. When you dare to test it, when you live from the end and persist in your inner vision, life itself will confirm your faith with undeniable proof. This is not theory, but living experience, waiting for you to claim it. Thank you for watching this complete lecture. If this message has inspired you, remember to like, share, and subscribe for more timeless teachings. Your support helps spread these profound truths to seekers across the world. Keep imagining boldly, keep assuming the best, and watch your life transform.